Welcome to day 5 of my guided stick mobility program. Today is groundwork and we will be focusing on the hips and spine in a 90-90 position on the ground. You're going to need your full stick mobility bundle, and I'll leave a link in the description below with a 10% discount. And you may also want a block or a bolster to give yourself some elevation throughout the workout. Let's get to it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, click the bell for notifications, like this video, and be sure to come back to this program for day 6. So coming down onto the ground, I would definitely recommend having a mat. I have just a towel, but you might want a bolster or something because you see your knees or your ankles will be potentially off the ground or off the mat. So you're going to come into that 90-90 position, and you really want to think about that front leg is kind of in line with the mat, making a nice beautiful 90-degree line here from the hips, and then that back leg, same thing going out behind you. And we're going to use the sticks to actually make sure that we are in proper alignment. So the first stick, and I'm using my long sticks for this, you can use the shorter ones, but I want the shorter one for the actual work. So one long stick is going right in the instep of that front foot, and it should kind of hit the knee. And then this other stick, I'm going to bring over here to that back leg instep, right, that back foot, and then it creates a beautiful 90-degree angle that you can see with the sticks so you know you are in position. I'll also have a close-up, sort of wide angle shot from above so that you can see this from a different angle. So this lets you know that you're in the right position of a 90-90. A lot of the time, I do a lot of shin boxes, which I love, but they don't require that the leg is in that straight line position here and here. They let you be kind of bent and knees can be in, and you're not creating the exact 90-degree angle that we are working with today. So coming back into my 90-90, take your time with this. It can be kind of a lot to be in this position. And we're going to be here for a little while, but I will make sure that we have some breaks too. So we have the stick set up. We see that the form is correct. Nice and in line. I'm going to grab, if this is in any way uncomfortable, if your knee doesn't touch down to the ground and you have a whole lot of space here, or this is really hard on your hips, you can also use a block or a bolster and raise yourself up so that you're sitting on it. You can sit on the block like this and work your way into that 90-90. Same concept, you're just a little bit higher off the ground so that there's less pressure on your knees. So if you feel a lot of pinching, this is a great option for you. You can also use the block or a bolster to be able to rest that knee, especially if the front knee has a tendency to come up off the ground. So if you needed a little assistance, this is a great option for you. And as you continue to work in this position, you'll notice that your hips open up and you can get further and further and closer to the ground. So I'm getting back into my position again. Here we go. So that back ankle is off the mat. You might want just a little something so it's not hitting the floor all the time, because that can be uncomfortable. So here we go. I'm grabbing my shorter stick, because in this position, it's still tall enough for me to do a little monkey hang. So let's start there. You're just gonna reach up high and hang. Let the shoulders open, let that armpit open up. Try and relax and sit back into that back sits bone here. Right, push that side down. Breathe. One more great big breath. And now you're going to reach that free hand across your body, hold onto the stick, and you're going to pull as if you're going across your body. You're going to pull that stick across as you look, try to kind of look in between the stick and your arm or behind you, kind of over your shoulder. Nice big twist here. Always make sure you're breathing. And release. Now, you can rest that hand down. You're going to twist with just the stick hand across your body. Just got an adjustment by doing that. There we go. So getting into that spine a little bit as we twist open and across the body. 2. Going for 5 here because it feels really nice. 4. And 5. We're going to bring that stick down. Both hands are holding the stick, overhand grip. So I want the long lever to be in the direction of the back leg. Your elbows are bent, they can be tight to your sides, and you'll notice that just because of the weight of the stick, mostly being over on that side, it helps to counterbalance. And it actually makes it easier for me to sit up tall in this 90-90 position. A lot of the time, people will start to sort of curl forward in this position because it can be a lot, right? Just staying here with these hips open like this can be a lot for a lot of people. So by using the stick as a long lever in that open hip direction, you are now able to stay upright and taller. So we're just going to take a couple deep breaths here. I'm not going to stay in any of these positions for too long, except for holding this 90-90, but we'll take some breaks pretty quickly. So just holding here. If you really feel like your knee is pulling up, think about pressing it down into the ground. All of this is actually a surprising amount of work, but it's really great for opening and strengthening the hips, the adductors, the abductors. We're just going to add on and bring that arm out straight, both arms out straight. So now shoulders and core have more work to do. You're still thinking about pushing both of those knees down into the ground. 2 more breaths right here. One more. And now we're just going to rotate. Woo! You can feel that the knee in the front really wants to lift up. One more. Take a second, rest, set that stick down. You're gonna let those feet come up. We can always readjust if we want to. You don't have to keep the sticks there for alignment purposes, but it's nice to see them. So we're just taking a moment. You can straighten those legs out because staying in that 90-90 can be a lot for a lot of people. And I want you to have a break so it doesn't feel like it's too much and you really get into the work of it. So you can just kind of shake those legs out and then come back. We're going right back into that position. So now you can actually see, can you get there without having the alignment of the sticks let you know where you want those legs to be and in what position? It's a great option to always come back and reset. But it's nice to start to recognize where you want your legs to be and how to get in and out of this position on your own. So grabbing that stick, we're now going to have the long lever across the front leg. And so now, just because of this counterweight, it's actually pulling me this way, which means this back hip has to work harder here. So you really want to think about pushing that sits bone down into the ground. You're kind of sitting back into it, keeping that front knee down. Taking 3 deep breaths right here. One more. Now we're going to extend our arms straight into that nice long lever. Shoulders are working. Keeping those knees pressing down into the ground. Pushing that sits bone down into the ground. Again, we're going to rotate across the body toward that back leg. 1, 2, 3. Bring that hand down. Take a breath. We don't have to stay in any of these positions for very long. You're going to bring that stick right kind of into your hip, and we're just going to press the stick down. So as you press down, you're going to notice torso elongates, your head lifts. It's actually a lot easier to stay in this position and keep yourself upright when you press the stick down into the ground, into your hips here. Just practicing that. We're going to add on and incorporate this push specifically. And release. So once again, we're just going to take a second to come out of that alignment. Can do some little windshield wipers really quickly. Already getting adjustments again. And while we're here, we're going to just do a couple of shin box extensions. Oof. Squeeze the glutes as you lift up. Switching sides. And here, just because we are doing so much work in this sitting position, we want to do the opposite and lift up. One more on each side. Now we're going to get into a little bit of functional range conditioning. So coming back into that 90-90 position, I'm going to leave the sticks where they are. We don't need them for the alignment. The more you do it, the easier it gets to spot it real quick. So we're in this 90-90 position. I'm going to grab that stick. I'm actually going to try and look at this back leg, right? So I'm going to open myself up to look at the back leg. And I'm going to turn so that you can see me better here. Right? If I'm in this position, leg is in line with the mat. And right about here. So, same side. I'm trying to open my body up to look at this back leg. Already, this can be uncomfortable. Again, you can feel free to grab a block and put it underneath that front knee if it needs to be elevated. When you do that, you'll notice you can all of a sudden sit back even more into that back hip. We're going to take the stick, and much like we just did, we're going to push that stick down into the ground, into our hips. So you're really thinking about pushing down as much as is possible. And we're just breathing here, pushing that stick down, trying to allow our bodies to relax and open up in this position. So if you start to notice you're crumpling, that's why this stick is here. You can really use it to push down and pull yourself up. Breathe. As you relax more and more, you might find That front knee lowers down just a little bit. And it doesn't have to touch the floor. There's no requirement here. Wherever you're at today, it's a great place to be, and it's an awesome place to start working from. So we're just holding here, trying to let our body relax and get comfortable in this position. Just not necessarily the most comfortable position, right? So we're going to use this stick to push down, and at the same time, we're going to get into a little bit of pails and rails. And I want you to think about pushing this back foot ankle down into the ground as if you're going to externally rotate the hip. So you're going to keep the knee down, you're going to keep the foot down. Both things are pressing as if they're going to open up this way, right? If I had no earth underneath me, I would then kind of swing that way. That's what we're going for. But you're not actually moving the knee or the ankle. So it doesn't look like much, but the effort is what you put into it. So we're going to start by pressing the stick down gently, maybe 20-30%. Thinking about keeping those knees down on the ground. And now press that ankle into the ground 40%. Breathe. Going 50%. Press even more. You can also press into the stick even more as we go. Keep breathing. Press in 70%. Really push your foot into the ground, pushing those knees down into the ground. Going for 85%. Making sure to breathe. And now 100%. Go as hard as you can. Push down into the ground. And release. Now you're going to try and lift your heel. Lift that back ankle off the ground while keeping your knees down. You're probably not going to lift it up off the ground, right? You can see my toes are trying to lift, but the ankle, the heel, isn't coming anywhere. But the fact that I'm thinking about it and trying to get it to lift, it's actually counteracting all of that pressure that we just put on. 2 more of those. Pails and rails. Here we go. Pushing the stick down into your hip. Push your ankle down into the ground, starting at 40%. Knees down, going to 50. 70%. 85%. Now 100%. And release. Lifting that heel off the ground. Thinking about lifting the heel off the ground. We have 1 more just like that. Here we go. Whew. Making me sweat. Okay. Pushing the stick down into my hips. Pushing my knees down into the ground. Heel pushes down into the ground. 40%. 50%, 70%, 85%. Max effort, 100%. And release. Thinking about lifting that back ankle off the ground. Whew. That'll make you sweat. So, I'm going to reset myself. Feel free to take a moment and pull your legs gently out of that 90-90 position. We're going to be facing forward again. So instead of this way, coming back to face that front leg. Bringing that stick with me, it's now going back to the front leg as opposed to the back leg. And I'm going to push down, Push that knee down into the ground, back knee down into the ground. And now we're going to try and lift that back ankle off the ground. And because we're no longer rotated in this direction, but we're in front of our bodies, facing in line with our hips, you should be able to maybe just a hair off the ground. Pull that ankle, that back ankle off the ground, just a hair. But I tell you, when you push the stick down into the ground, it actually helps you. Gives you more leverage, and it gives you the energy to push that ankle up. So here we go, we're gonna try for 10. And push the stick down into the ground, lift the ankle up. 1, 2, 3, doesn't have to go high. 4, the work is just thinking about getting it off the ground. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Whew. So, lifting that stick into the long lever towards the backside. So again, we now have that counterbalance helping keep us in this 90-90 position a little more comfortably. Again, we're just going to lift that back ankle, keeping those knees down on the ground 10 times. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a little more work. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. Go ahead and set that stick down. Gently lift those knees into a windshield wiper. Let's go for 5 on each direction. 1, 2, ooh, this back hip. 3, 4, feeling way more open than the front side. And 5. Okay. You can extend your legs long and mentally prepare for moving over to the other side. So it's exact same thing. We'll still take those breaks, but we're going to reset ourselves with the sticks and our alignment, because wouldn't you know, hips aren't always the same. So one side might be easier than the other. Maybe this will be your easy side. So finding that position first, and I love that the mat kind of helps me out so I can see, oh, right, I need to be in this line. This one in particular that has all of these kind of ruler marks is really lovely. So stick comes into the instep of that front foot, touching that knee. This stick is going to come to the instep of the back leg and create that beautiful 90-90 angle. Whew, we made it. We've got this last side. This side might actually be my easy side, or my easier side. We'll see as we get into it. It just seems like this is easier, but it could also be just getting here now, because the other side feels like a long time. So grab that stick, come into your monkey hang. Just take a moment. You can reach as high as is comfortable for you. Horse lips to just let it all go. Make sure you're not holding any tension in your neck, up in your chest. Grab that arm, reach around to the stick across your body, and you're going to pull the stick as if you're going to pull across your body and try and look behind you. Nice little twist. You can release that hand, and now we're going to rotate the stick hand for a nice little spinal twist. We've got 5 here. 2 more. Last one, feel free to adjust if that stick has started moving away from you. And come back to center. Again, if you find you have a lot of space here, you can always use a little cushion, whether it's for underneath your knee or underneath your bum. It can be very helpful. I'm just going to readjust myself and give myself a little space from this wall. So we're going to be rotating towards it. Right. There we go. So, bringing that stick into that long lever, elbows are bent. So again, just this counterweight kind of allows me to sit into my back hip a little bit easier. Breathe. Thinking about pressing those knees down into the ground. You're going to extend your arm out in front. Shoulders are packed down. Letting gravity assist you here. It's nice that we have this opportunity. We might as well use it, right? Take advantage. And now we're going to do 3 little rotations. 1. Got another adjustment. 2. I guess I'm a little snap, crackle, pop today. 3. Coming back. We're going to bring the stick over to the other side so the lever is over the front leg. Just feel this first and notice if you're compensating in any way. Has your hip come up really high? Is your knee trying to move? How are you adjusting because of this weight? And breathe. Thinking about sitting back into that sits bone. One more breath. And extending the arms out in front. Breathing. Working a little bit harder, but as we stay in this position, we are strengthening the back adductor so that it is better at doing all of its jobs. And now we're going to add that little rotation. 2. 1 more. 3. Take a second. And come on out of that alignment. Straighten those legs. Just shake out your legs really quickly. Ooh, feels nice. You can twist a little bit here. Coming back into our 90-90. We're going to push the stick into our hips just like we did before. So find that spot wherever it is for you. Pushing this stick down into your hips, and that front hip first. Notice how you get taller. As you push down, you're really lengthening the torso. Head is lifting high like you have a string from the ceiling, pulling it up. Think about pressing those shoulders down. Now we're getting into those functional range conditioning exercises. So I'm going to set these alignment sticks to the side. I'm going to turn towards that back leg again. right? All I'm doing is turning towards the back leg, bringing that stick to the back leg. And again, pressing down so that it gives me that little bit of an assist to stay tall. And we're just breathing. If your rotation towards that back leg does not look like mine, that's totally fine. You may not get as close to being in line with that back leg. Wherever you can get to, this is great work. It is not easy work, but it is really, really helpful to opening up the hips. Let's go for one more breath here. Nice. So now we're going to add on those pails and rails. Same basic position, right? I'm thinking about pushing that front knee down into the ground, thinking about pushing that back knee down into the ground. I will be using the stick, pushing down. And then we're going to go, again, ramping upward to more and more effort. Pushing that back ankle down into the ground. So here we go. Pushing the stick into your hips. Knees pressing down into the ground. And 40% effort. Keep going, 50%. 70%. 85%. Almost there. 100% max effort here. Push, 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 push. And gently release. Think about lifting that back ankle off the ground as if it's floating. There's no weight on it at all. We have 2 more rounds just like that. Here we go. Pushing the stick into your hips, pushing your knees down into the ground. Starting with 40% effort, push your ankle down into the ground. Ramping up to 50%. Keep breathing, exhale, 70%. Going for 85% now. And max effort, 100%. Push, 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 push. And ease off. Trying to lift all of the weight off of that heel, lifting it off the ground. I know you may get a little cramping here. Feel free to give yourself a little twist. One more of these. So if you do feel a lot of pinching in these hip creases, you can always just come out, take a breath. We only have 1 more here, and then we get to come back towards the front. Pushing that stick down into the ground, knees pressing into the ground. Here we go. 40% effort. Pressing that stick into your hips, pushing your heel, your ankle, your knees down into the ground for 50%. 70%. 85%. Now give it 100%. And ease off. Thinking about lifting that back heel off the ground. Woo! Doesn't go very far, but you think about it and the work is being done. Coming back to face forward. Let's just take a second. Ugh. Ooh. Come into that shin box position and extend. Oh my goodness. Switch your shin box over to the other side. Yes. See, this feels necessary right now. I'll do one more on each side. And up. Squeeze those glutes. Let those hips relax for a second. Coming back into your 90-90. Take your time setting up the adjustment, like it doesn't really matter how long it takes. It's more important that you get yourself in the right placement. Bringing that stick to that front leg. We're facing forward. 2 more exercises. We're going to lift that back ankle again. So pressing the stick down into your hips, knees press down into the ground, lift that back ankle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Take a breath. We're going to bring the stick with the long lever towards the back leg. And again, 10 ankle lifts. This is slightly more difficult than pushing the stick into your side. So if this is too much for you, feel free to go back to pushing the stick into your hips. Here we go for another 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Breathe. Take a second to come out. You're going to push those heels down into the ground, into that windshield wiper position. And we're going to do 5 windshield wipers in each direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Extend those legs long. Beautiful work today. Not easy work. Something we don't often try to do, even though we're always working on our glutes and trying to strengthen. This is so small. These little isometric movements make a big difference. So you're going to reach underneath your knees. Give yourself a great big hug in this sort of almost a forward fold. You can have your ankles or your heels come up even more if this is more comfortable for you. You're just really letting that low back go so you can relax your head down onto your knees. You can slide down as much as is comfortable for you. Such great work today. And gently pull those hands out and forward fold. Give yourself some love. Give your body some positive feedback for this kind of work. It's a little slower, but it's really, really important in keeping you as mobile as possible. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you're enjoying my stick mobility program. Make sure you drop a comment, like this video, and be sure to come back for day 6.